Hey, this is John Lee Dumas from Entrepreneurs on Fire, and you are listening to the Corner Cutter Podcast, a weekly speed cubing podcast. Are you prepared to ignite?
Hi, this is Daniel Goodman.
Dylan Wang from JPerm.
Ian Scheffler.
Kiran Bansal from India.
This is Alex from Z3 Cubing.
What's up, guys? This is Jaden McNeil from Australia, and you're listening to the Corner Cutter Podcast.
Hey, that's right. Welcome to the Corner Cutter Podcast. Podcasting since 2014 and cubing since 2015. I'm your host, Josh, and this is the most consistent speed cubing podcast dedicated to entertain and educate you with in-depth conversations with cubers from all across the sport. My website is thecornercutterpodcast.com, and you can find all the show notes, links, and other resources on there as well. thecornercutterpodcast.com. Today, it's a solo episode, but got tons of great content for you guys. Records, releases, ratings, so that's all in cubing news. It's got some podcast and personal updates just to keep you guys updated with that. A lot of feedback from you guys, and also want to read some of your guys' nice YouTube comments. I really appreciate those. And also, we'll wrap it up with question of the month. So, let's jump right into the first segment, Cubing News. Cubing News, records, releases, and ratings. So, I guess the biggest, I'm not going to go right in order. I mean, this is the first solo episode since February, middle of February, so got quite a few records. So first one, like the biggest one overall, was probably the 5.69 3x3 average by Felix Zemdegs. He broke his own. I mean, he had the 3x3 average already, but beat himself. Max Pock, though, was creeping up on it. He had a sub 5 average as well, or a couple sub 5 averages. So that was interesting following that, but Felix just brought it down. And what was interesting about this average was he didn't have any like super lucky solves. He was just right consistent right in there at the 5.6 second range. And he kind of messed up on his first solve as well. So that was really big news. Looking back, at the end of March, Max Pock got a 6.99 OH single. So that's the North American record. Good job to Max, and that was cool, especially after him getting that miss scramble for his 4-second solve. I'm glad he got a decent OH solve. Some other things are Timon, who's the one that's really good at Pyraminx. He broke his own record just like Felix. It's the average 1.86, and his previous one was 1.87. He was super consistent in that average as well, just like Felix, getting high ones and a couple 2-second solves, but that was really amazing. Jack Callie got the OCR for 3-blind mean. Now it's right above 20 seconds. 20.35. And then just recently, Jack Callie got the 3x3 blindfolded single, 16.22. So that was cool. And then just today, not sure how to pronounce his last name, but Reto, he got the 3x3 fewest moves mean, 23 even. Wow, he dropped it. So they're 4 tied for 24.00, and now it's 23.00. Broke it by a whole move. He got a 23 in the first, for the first solve, a 22, and then a 24. So that was cool. The next, he's from Finland, and then the second place for that round as well got 24.67. He had two 23s and a 28. So that's very exciting for the FMC world. And that pretty much wraps up the recent records. So, as usual, a bunch of stuff going on in the cube world. For releases, Moyu released a backpack. I think this was definitely needed in this space because cube cases, yeah, those are good, but you really need some more space to keep all your stack mat, computer, all your extra stuff. So this backpack looks pretty good. And it's definitely, Moyu released it, so that's pretty cool. The Yushin Little Magic Square 1 and Square 1 M were recently released. Wow. These are going for $7 and about $10 on the Cubicle. So that's very cheap for a Square 1 M. And it looks to be a pretty decent cube. The Square 1's hardware still isn't that good, but definitely a great budget option. The YJ Yulong V2M was released too. Look at magnetic cubes are now under $10. That's amazing. And that just goes to show you how far production has come since this started just a couple years ago. Yushin released its 8 petals cube. That's also magnetic. And then the Mofeng Xiaoxi Meilong 3x3 is out. Shengxiao added a tank 8x8. Wow. That's pretty cool. Shengxiao just keeps going up and up with their tank cubes. And of course the Moyu Weilong WRM. It's now in stock in most of the stores. So it's not just on pre-order. So that's cool. And that is going to be our rating today. So we can move right into that. So the Moyu Weilong WRM. This came on to the market in the beginning of March. Its dimensions are 55.55 millimeters, so same as the Valk 3. Definitely. So it comes with the new adjustment features, and this was the cube, obviously that got the world record, 3.47 by Yusheng Du. Comes in a magnetic version and a non-magnetic version. I'm not sure why you would get the non-magnetic version unless you're planning to magnetize it yourself and you want a different strength. That's definitely an option, but it also comes with a spare set of magnets as well. So you can buy the magnetic version and change out the strength there. It's also really ramping up the adjustment system, so that's great. And it's nice to see this puzzle doesn't have ridges or anything like that, like the GTS 3M did. So That's definitely interesting. So this is now like the featured cube of Moyu. Gan has the Gan X, and Chi has the Volk Power. So these are really the spotlight premier cubes of each company. Yushin has the Hulong 3x3M. So, those are the like top cubes, and each one keep changing. That's definitely good, making improvements. So that wraps up cubing news. Okay, let's move right into some comments and some feedback you guys have sent in over the past several weeks and month or so. First off, I just want to mention that some of you guys who've bought some magnetic clocks from me have said some nice words about the podcast, that you enjoy it, things like that. So thanks for that. Also, Jasper, he emailed me in like November or December about some tips for Pyraminx, and he was just like wondering how to get better at using a stack mat and not having his time suffer as much when using that. He's from New Zealand, and he sent me a picture of his certificate. He placed first in the event at the recent competition he went to. He got an average of 4.10 winning average, and he used the X-Man Bell Pyraminx. So congratulations, Jasper. I'm so glad that you did well. That's always so fun, winning a competition on the event that you enjoy most. Bradley had some comments. He said, "Hi Josh, your podcast is really interesting. The new intro rocks. I broke my 2x2 PB on a stack mat while listening. I got a 0.816. Thanks so much for making consistent episodes." Bradley, thanks for those comments. Wow, 0.81 on a stack mat. That is fast. TV Cuber sent me a comment as well. I sent him, or he asked me to send him some podcast cards so he could talk about and pass them out at a competition that's coming up for him. And he said, "The cards came in, thanks. You put a lot of time and work into your podcast. You will probably find people like me who want to make your channel/podcast better known. That's why I will help you by bringing them to comps. Hope you experience major growth in your channel this year." Thanks, TV Cuber. I really appreciate all your support and comments on YouTube as well. I see you commenting there on a lot. I can't thank you enough for just being such a fan, and that's what keeps this show going and me keeping producing consistent content. Also, I got iTunes or Apple Podcasts review from Random Person 124. He said, this was on April 7th, he said, "I constantly find myself listening to this when I'm cubing and even when I'm not. I would recommend this 10 out of 10 to anyone who is a cuber. The podcast is very consistent, so you'll usually never have to wait over a week for the next podcast to come out." Thanks, Random Person. Really appreciate the 5-star review, and it helps other people check out the podcast. It doesn't help people find the podcast or rank higher in iTunes, as a lot of people might think, and podcasters might think So, just wanted to make that clear, and that's a big misconception in the podcasting world. So, I do have some YouTube comments as well. I'll read those after the next couple segments, though. So, some updates. I'm going to be ordering some new podcast cards for the podcast for the next competitions. I always include a couple in the packages I send out. So I'm basically out of those now. And if you would like any of the new cards to pass out or just have on the table at one of your competitions, just feel free to send me an email with your address and I'll send you, like, I can fit 30 cards in an envelope, and still, it doesn't cost that much to ship. So I'll ship those out to you for free. Also, I've been doing pretty good selling magnetic clocks and magnet sets. If you haven't heard of that before, you can go to thecornercutterpodcast.com/clock magnets, and all my services are right on there. So those are all physical services. If you want to work with me, you can go to thecornercutterpodcast.com/work with me. And then if you were wondering, that intro for the podcast that came from John Lee Dumas, who hosts a podcast that I listen to and that I really enjoy. And that's Entrepreneurs on Fire. So many great tips. I've been listening to him for about a year now, I think. Maybe even a little bit more, yeah. Having that in there is kind of just more for me, but I'm a huge fan of him, and like, he was Best iTunes 2013, and has like over 1 million listeners for each episode. That's cool having that intro for my show. So thanks, JLD, for doing the intro. So some personal updates now. 5 years of podcasting. I celebrated 5 years of podcasting with my brother on April 11th. And that's a huge accomplishment. Wow, 5 years. I was 13 when I started my first podcast with my older brother JJ, Basscaster Bros. And we have been doing that for the past 5 years. It's still going. It's not weekly, but we release episodes as we can. And we have a lot of fun over there. You can, if you want to go check it out, basscasterbros.com. I was also going to talk about that a little bit as well. We cover our recent fishing trips. We love fishing the outdoors, and so we talk all about that. And then also recently we talked about the Bassmaster Classic, which is one of the biggest events in the bass fishing world. So we covered that, and we do the fantasy side as well, so do our fantasy picks. So if you want to check that podcast out, go over to basscasterbros.com, and I'll have a link in the show notes to this episode as well. So celebrating 5 years of podcasting, it's been a long journey. Launched this podcast over 2 years ago, and just have continued with it since. I listened to tons of podcasts as well, like the ones I mentioned earlier, Entrepreneurs on Fire, but also podcasts about podcasting, about personal improvement and development. And I really enjoy listening to podcasts. Also recently, I've been pretty busy with school. Even though I'm still a senior, I've been taking some college classes over the spring semester, and I've been doing pretty well, enjoying them. Work can be tough at times, but enjoying the whole process and got to be earning credits. Also, recently I've been looking at different careers and just kind of planning what I'm going to do for the next couple years. So all that put together is some of the reason that I haven't been as consistent over the past month, let's say, releasing episodes, but I'm still trying to get one out every week. So let's move into some YouTube comments. $5 Cubing commented on one of the recent episodes. He said, great podcast, and then said, I've been listening for about 2 weeks, and I found the podcast when I looked up Cubing Podcast on YouTube. Thanks, $5 Cubing. I'm glad you're enjoying the episodes. Also, Ricky Robber said on the last episode on YouTube, Cameron Brown interview, said, I love your videos, man. The way you talk to people is really awesome, dude. Huge fan. Thanks, Ricky. Thanks for the comment. I appreciate those kind words. Then UCube said, I love these podcasts. This is really well set up. I know I said it in another video, but I just really like it. Also, it's pretty cool Cameron Brown came on. TV Cuber mentioned him earlier. Said, yay, finally. I was just about to look for an old episode to listen to while I do chores when this popped up in notifications. Thanks. TV Cuber, I love listening to podcasts while doing chores or washing dishes or just doing yard work as well. That's always so nice to have something to do and listen to. Glad that it came out right then. Mateo, he was on a recent episode on Cuber Chats, but he commented on the recent Cuber Chats episode we had about improving, and he said, so I wanted to give my opinion on a few things based on what I listened to. If they're gonna add an event, it should be one that takes around 30 seconds or more at a competitive level, because that gives room for improvement and doesn't basically make it a luck-based event, even after a few years. Like Scube, or how the Ready Cube would be if added. Feet should stay an event, and I don't feel like the community has to control everything, or anything at all for that matter, but opinion should at least be asked. Or at the very least, keep the community informed, like they are starting to do now with their kind of monthly digest thing. But instead of just one section, have a more overall type of a monthly digest. So I was wrong. This wasn't on the improving episode. This was on the speculating the future of the WCA. Mateo, you really had some good comments there. And yeah, I really strongly agree with an event needs to take more than 30 seconds at a competitive level. Master Pyraminx fits into that category right now. The fastest times are above 30 seconds. And yeah. So that's definitely an option. Kibiminx is like low 20s, high teens. So that's like on the edge. I mean, it would be fun to see that, and there is still room for improvement there, especially in hardware. So I would say that's still in as well, in my opinion. Jacob Finikos said on my magnetic clock tutorial, thanks for bringing attention to clock. It's one of my favorite events, but there are not a lot of videos on YouTube talking about it. Glad, yeah, thanks Jacob, glad I could bring some awareness to that. Cubing Burger said, in regards to the common competition nerves, he said, chew some gum and put some headphones on. Definitely helps me a lot. Yeah, studies show that if you chew gum during a test, that you will do better. And that could relate to cubing as well. And final comment, this is by Tingman. I saw that he recently subscribed, and I just went over to his channel and commented on one of his videos thanking him for subscribing, and he said, I'm not sure why I wasn't already subscribed. I love your stuff, especially your interviews. Keep what you're doing. One day we might collab. Yeah, Tingman, thanks. And I appreciate the subscription as well. So, yeah, those are some of your nice YouTube comments. If you leave a nice one, I might read it on one of the next episodes. So, if you're listening on YouTube right now, make sure to comment below. Then, final segment. Let's move right into that. Okay, question of the month. And this was was it from January or February? It was a while ago. I think it was February. But I didn't get many answers, so that's why I've kind of been delaying this segment. But just want to get it over with now. So, we have one answer, an audio answer, and I'll play it right now. Oh, 1 second, the question was, what is your favorite YouTuber and why?
February's Corner Cutter podcast question of the month was, who is your favorite YouTuber and why? And to answer that, I think that I'd have to pick J-Perm for several reasons. First of all, he has great camera quality and takes care to record his videos very well in a way that will be easy for us to view it. Second of all, he knows what he's talking about. He's not like those YouTubers who simply make videos about like how to be sub 20 and they just hit the 19-second barrier. Well, J-Perm, he does tons of cubes and he's relatively fast at them. And then the third main reason as to why J-Perm is my favorite YouTuber is because he actually responds to comments. I know that several other smaller cubing channels do this as well. But since J-Perm is like such a fast cuber and he has a large following, it's nice that he actually responds to the comments. For example, I was asking him questions about different cube solves and stuff, and he responded back into the comments. And while that, I know that can be very difficult to do, seeing as the number of comments are enormous, it's still very kind and good of him. So that's why.
Thanks, Simon, for that answer. Yeah, J-Perm, he does make a lot of awesome and helpful videos. And yeah, that one point you mentioned about him replying to YouTube comments, I think that's big. Because someone can be producing lots of videos, good quality videos, but if they don't interact at all, you kind of miss that. So that's why I always try to respond to all the comments and emails I get in a timely manner. So, yeah. My answer, there's lots of great YouTubers out there. Sean from SpeedCube Review, DG Cubes, JR Cuber, LikeOBoise3, J-Perm. Those are like some of the biggest ones. But there's lots of smaller ones as well. I think I've mentioned in the past, I really like DJ Cubes' videos, especially all his videos that he has in his catalog, because some are just super helpful, like how to solve a clock. Now, that's where I learned how to solve a clock, and it's so helpful. And I really like his yearly Pyraminx walkthrough solves. So I'm going to have to go with DG Cubes. And so that's it for question of the month. maybe we'll get question of the month back sometime, but that's it for now. I mean, I might have another question next month or whatever, but I'm gonna need some responses. So, yeah, that's really it for this episode. I really would love to hear from you. Let me know how you liked this episode, how you liked last week's episode. I thought last week's episode with Cameron Brown went really well, and there's just so much interesting information. So let me know. Josh at thecornercutterpodcast.com is my email address. And you can leave a comment on YouTube as well in the show notes. You can find all the links and everything to what I mentioned on the website, thecornercutterpodcast.com/show notes. I mentioned my clock magnet business earlier, and yes, you can go to thecornercutterpodcast.com/clock magnets or /magnetic clock, and whichever one you want, and there's links back to on each page to each of those, so you can go check that out. That's a great way to support the show as well. And a lot of you guys who have bought clocks are have gotten PBs, so done really well in comp, so that's great. I'm glad you guys are successful using those clocks. Oh yeah, and one last thing, happy Easter to everyone listening, or happy Resurrection Day to all you fellow believers. Easter Sunday is one of the most important days of the year. So, next week we'll have either an interview or Cuba Chats episode, whatever it is. It'll be exciting. And thanks so much for listening to this episode. I appreciate you, and now it's time to take it back to the scrambling table. I'll talk to you all again next week in episode 77 of the Corner Cutter Podcast. Wow, 5 years. I was 13. Well, yeah, I was 13, 14, 15. And Cube Assembly Stories, that Cube Chats episode said, chew some gum. So this definitely moves into the top category in the... So this definitely now is the what is it called? The not spotlight, not can't think of the right word. Not featured. Let me just think about it for a second. Just a little blooper. I ended up not being able to think of the right word. Maybe I was just kind of hearing it wrong, though.